We're fixing to. I said they need to change language on it, say fixing to.
Picking to.
Instead of preparing.
Southern language.
Instead of preparing, is that fixing?
We ficking to. You just gotta close that one out. Just minimize it, you won't hear it.
Well, I've got to mute it.
No, you don't have to, but you do what you got. I mean, I just minimize it, you don't ever hear it.
Well, when I've done that before, I get a back thing. Blair's always told me to make it.
We don't have trouble with it, but okay. You do what you do. Boss, you're up.
We ready?
We up. Let's go.
Okay, I'd like to call to order a special call meeting, teleconference, mainly to consider the first reading of ordinance 2025-05, authorizing street legal special purpose vehicles to operate on public roads and highways in the city of Calvert City. So that's the sole thing we can talk about today. And I want to thank everybody for your patience and attention to this matter in a timely fashion. So with that said, I would entertain a motion
Okay.
to introduce, right?
Well, you'll read it first.
Okay, let's read it.
All right. Ashley?
We're going to read it before we introduce it.
Yeah. All right. It reads, whereas the 2025 Kentucky General Assembly amended KRS Chapter 186, authorizing local governments to enact ordinances permitting street legal special purpose vehicles to operate on public highways within the respective jurisdiction of local governments. And whereas the citizens of the city of Calvert City have expressed a desire to operate street legal special purpose vehicles upon the streets of the city of Calvert City. And whereas the City Council of the City of Calvert City wishes to enact such an ordinance to allow street legal special purpose vehicles to operate under certain conditions, now therefore be it ordained by the City of Calvert City, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that persons may operate street legal special purpose vehicles in the City of Calvert City subject to the following. Effective June 27, 2025, persons may operate street legal special purpose vehicles on any public road or highway maintained by and or under the control of the City of Calvert City or the Kentucky Department of Highways and located within the boundaries of the City of Calvert City, subject to the following requirements and exceptions. Number one, such vehicles and their operators must comply with the provisions of KRS Chapter 186 relating to street legal special purpose vehicles and therefore are also permitted to operate on the streets and highways located within the unincorporated portion of Marshall County. Number two, the operator of the street legal special purpose vehicle shall at all relevant times be properly licensed to operate a motor vehicle.
Now you can entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, if you guys need a motion and a second, and then we can discuss it. If you have any discussion.
I'll make a motion.
Who's got the motion?
Danae.
Danae? Got a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, we've read it. Discussion on this ordinance.
Got a thumbs up from Nita.
I'll start. Can everybody hear okay?
Everybody hear Dustin okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that we need to consider adding a curfew to this ordinance, mostly for sleep time disturbances and in the middle of the night disturbances. And we've got a lot of people in the city that believe it, that do not want this to pass just because they're not involved in the UTVs. Doesn't mean anything to them, but they're afraid of disturbances, especially in the middle of the night. I feel like there could be instances where you have several of these and they can be noisy, even if they're not equipped with aftermarket exhaust, they can be fairly noisy. And you put 3 or 4 of them together, 1 o'clock in the morning, running around, just cruising around for fun through the residential areas of the city. And it is going to be an annoyance. It is going to wake some people up. And I think there will be some complaints there. So, we could try to add that now. We could wait and see if there is complaints or if there is an issue, could always amend and add later. But I think that there's some people that do have concerns now. And by adding an ordinance, you would kind of appease their concerns and deal with that. I don't know which way to look at everybody.
The camera's over.
So, it could be, there's I don't know, as far as in Kentucky, there's really not a lot of information. I don't know how many cities have even passed the ordinance to begin with. So there's not a lot of information there. There are other cities and other towns that have done curfews and it's been successful. Usually it's 10 to 5 or 11 to 4 or something like that. But I think that would be worth discussing and possibly adding to the ordinance. Plus,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, the only reason I would interject on that, and I understand where you're going with it, but the problem is we put in addition to that, it becomes an ordinance.
Mhm.
And that means that we have to get the county or the judge to enforce our ordinance. And he'll enforce the statute.
Mhm.
He's not likely to enforce the ordinance. Am I not correct on that? If you can charge him with a statute,
Can I talk?
yeah, that's what I wanted you to, because I just want to make sure that we've got the way to enforce it
Mhm.
other than just making a rule.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't think about that when we
Well,
had previously talked.
Like with Benton, Benton has a couple additional, stipulations on it with the headlight during the daylight and stuff like that.
Right, but that's not gonna be able to be enforced through district court. Now, we can submit ordinance violations to the county attorney, and we've tried that in the past, and there's just so much other stuff going on in district court that stuff never was ever followed up with. They're more apt to going against the state statutes.
Mhm.
Now, if we had like an ordinance board or what's it called, John? We were talking about last year. Yeah, like a code board or something like that,
Mhm.
where we could issue like little paper tickets or whatever that they could pay city hall, and if they wanted to challenge it, then they could go to the board. If we had something like that in place, that would be more apt, but
Well, that's the
right now,
same.
we're not currently.
Even if it
doing
was
that.
not real enforceable, I think adding it to the ordinance and people knew that it was in the ordinance would probably deter a lot of people from riding through the
Right.
city.
I mean, you can add whatever you want to it, but when it comes down to it, if it's a violation of that state statute, then we're probably going to issue tickets for that, and that's what's going to be going to court.
Yeah, I understand.
But I just want to make sure you were aware that it's more difficult to enforce anything that we do
Right.
as an ordinance than it is to do it as a statute. And that's, I want to make sure that you all are aware of that.
So it's difficult to.
I don't know that
enforce.
that's come up before.
Well, this is the same topic we've got on every ordinance we have. The golf cart ordinance, anything else that we do, trying to get attention out of that court. So the
Well,
desire.
It is a KRS. So
Well,
we
the-
write tickets for that.
Right. So when we have local ordinances, and that's the thing, this is another one of those, right? So we've had this issue before, and if it's something that's bothering us enough, then we can go to one of the other options across the board for all ordinance infractions if we want to get action there. So I don't know that that's really, and it's important to know whether it's going to be, somebody's going to get ticketed for 2:00 in the morning. We'll issue a ticket for a violation of ordinance. It's not likely to go anywhere. So it'll be kind of what you said, Dustin, the knowledge that it's against ordinance and we're not allowed to do it, is what it's up to. And if the police are going to stop them and talk to them, then they're going to go away that night. Yeah. So I don't know the vehicle. Where'd you get the information on how many other cities have done this sort of thing?
I don't know how many cities. I've found several cities in different states, Wisconsin, Missouri, Washington, that have done curfews on similar
Okay.
state ordinances.
We have a noise ordinance now.
Right.
And I'm confident, sorry to interrupt, but I'm confident, like a lot of these situations, they would probably violate the noise ordinance, but that's not going to keep them from coming in, and you're going to get a call complaining,
It's still.
and they're going to be gone, and nothing's going to happen.
But it's still like an ordinance, and we'll show up and we'll tell them you can't do that.
Mhm.
Then we don't have any backing to that as far as
Right.
district court. Now, if it's a habitual thing that always happens, then we can do disorderly conduct, which is a state statute, or inadequate silencer. I mean, if the vehicle is heard from a certain amount of distance away, then we can charge for inadequate silencer, and that's state statute. So if you're concerned about the noise and stuff, then we can stop them after hours or any time of the day for that. I mean, where your business is, you hear all the pickup trucks and stuff with the loud pipes coming through the intersection. I mean, we could write tickets for that because a lot of them do not have functioning mufflers. They're either straight pipes or like that. So we can write tickets for that'll go through district court. So if there's a noise issue with it, then we can obviously go that route.
I think the point would be to not have them come in and then after that have to chase them down and write a ticket would be to try to eliminate them with some kind of language to coming in initially. And some may still, and if they do, you're no worse off than you were if it wasn't there anyway.
I get it.
But, you know, and then you can make the point that, well, they're licensed and insured just like any other vehicle. They have the right to be on the road. But, you know, I would argue that this ordinance, the intention was not to give people a way to, you can't stop people from getting in their truck, getting somewhere middle of the night, you know, but I think this is more of the intent of the ordinance is more leisure. And I don't know that, you know, you want UTVs running around the residential neighborhoods at 1 a.m. on a Friday night.
But do we need to reconsider passing this? I
I
mean, we're getting ready to have a vote,
I think
and
it
whether
could
we're going to let
be-
this happen or not.
I don't think it'd be enough of a change I think it could go ahead with on an amendment for the next second reading. I think we could go on I don't know if everybody's feelings on it, but if they chose to, I don't think that's enough of a change to stop the first reading and then go ahead with the second reading.
So you want to bring it up? Anybody have any questions for Dustin before we got a discussion going on before we have a vote? Has anybody else got anything
Yeah, I
to
want
add or a
opinions. What's
question?
everybody think about that?
I'm asking them.
Sorry.
So, what do you think?
I don't have a problem with having a curfew.
Anybody else want to voice an idea on that curfew or anything before we take a vote?
I don't care. I don't care one way or the other.
I'm not that kinds of vehicles and the noise they make. I can imagine they do. But I am inclined to go along with Dustin on that we're no worse off if we have it. Stop some people from doing it. You know, they don't want to be pulled over by police, and that wouldn't matter to some, of course, but most people, I think, that would make a difference too. And if it's mostly a leisure thing anyway, do you really want those things just out running around in the middle of the night up and down the streets? So even if Mike and his officers don't really have any teeth, I think just the fact that they're out there and bringing that to someone's attention would make some difference.
I'd say put 11 o'clock curfew, and that way Mike can tell them get off the streets and go home.
Yeah.
May not be able to enforce it in the law, but
Right.
at least tell them get off the streets and go home.
Well, isn't this similar to the golf cart ordinance where it's supposed to be during daylight hours anyway, correct? Or did I dream that?
This is not.
It's not the same. Okay.
It's not the same.
No. The ordinance which allows golf carts on our streets is actually an ATV type ordinance, not a golf cart ordinance. And it's the city ordinance that allows it, and there's no operation after dark, supposedly. So that was part of our ordinance. So when Kevin says it's not, I agree with him. This is a statute that makes these vehicles legal on the roads under these conditions. And I've not seen any encumbrance as far as daylight hours or anything at the state level.
It's
So the ATV ordinance does limit to daylight hours. But of course, you can only operate those on streets 25 miles per hour or less. And then the golf cart ordinance, which is the multi-use path ordinance as well, is during daylight hours as well. And another thing I was going to point out is this will be in Chapter 73. And so the penalty in Chapter 73 is whoever violates any provision of this chapter shall be deemed to have committed a violation and shall be fined not more than $50. So if we are more restrictive than the statute, then the penalty will be the $50 fine. So I wanted to make sure that was okay with you all. But then, of course, again, we're back at the enforceability of that and how we're going to carry that out. But just as a point of information, the Chapter 73 does have a penalty section. It's Chapter 73, Section 99.
Yeah,
So-
and as I observed earlier, if we've got a problem with Chapter 73 enforcement, it's about all of these similar things, and we need to,
Yes.
if we're going to go with a board or something and need modification of that, this would be one of those. So that adds credence. I mean, we can modify this ordinance with a curfew, perhaps, if that's what you guys would like to do, and we can work on that.
I think we could amend, Ashley,
Yes.
Can we amend and then just add, segment, bullet 3 and just state, something there, the exception hours, curfews, not allowed operation on the city streets between 11 PM and what, 5 AM or something like that?
Sure.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? I mean, I just threw something out there because I didn't know.
11 to 5 is good. That way, if somebody wants to ride one to the plants or something like that, and they come in at 6 o'clock in the morning or at 5 o'clock in the morning, that'll be fine.
I agree with Kevin, but I don't know if y'all can hear me or not.
We
Yeah.
can, we can.
Hear the
Well,
waves too, right?
Yep. So 11 to 5, bullet point number 3 is going to be curfew. And looking at adding a curfew from 11 to 5. Does that, everybody understand that? Okay. So we're going to pencil that in, and when we have the final reading on this, we will have a paragraph or bullet 3 and put that in there. And listen, I understand the concerns about we won't be able to write a ticket. We could possibly write a ticket on this on the state law for unencumbered, and it will tag our ordinance. And look, this ordinance is for people who follow the rules. Okay, and it is, and we have rule followers in our city and people visiting our city. And so these are the rules. You're going to have people follow them, and those who don't get into the other areas we're talking about. How do we enforce it? I don't think that should prohibit us from trying to set what the city wants. And if we've got to get some more tools to better enforce those rules, we can do that collectively with all the ordinances. So that's what we're saying. So we've had the reading. We're proposing a bullet 3 curfew 11 p.m. to 5 o'clock a.m. And Kevin, I appreciate your insight, because I think we will have some people want to write them into shift work or whatever, especially until the new rubs off this thing.
You're right. People that live close outside the city limits, or people that do live in the city limits, will want to ride them probably.
We need to have them, change the motion to as amended, or do that tomorrow.
Well, we really should read it in its final form in 2 separate days, according to the statute.
All right, would you want to
That was
propose? You want to propose some language for and do an amendment for this one?
Sure. I was looking at the ATV, and it says a person operating an all-terrain vehicle under this subsection shall restrict the operation to daylight hours, except when engaged in snow removal or emergency road maintenance. That's what it says for the ATV one. So I could change to daylight hours to something else. We want to keep in the snow removal and emergency road maintenance.
I think so.
Sure. Okay.
Well, I'm not a council member. I don't get a vote, but we put those in for a reason, and I think they're appropriate.
Yes.
I agree.
Ordinance is the golf cart ordinance.
Mhm.
We don't want
This
to
is
change
the
that.
ATV ordinance.
No, she's not saying
About
that.
using that language.
She's-
for this other one.
She's looking at the language that currently exists in that format, and instead of saying daylight hours only, we're going to have that language from 11 to 5 a.m.
Mhm.
Okay.
with emergency use for sure. I'm not so thrilled about snow removal, but when it is inclement weather, people are going to want to use them, and that could be considered basically an emergency in these parts when we have real snow on the ground. So,
Sure.
can you come up with we're putting you on the spot pretty heavy, Ashley. You want to read a bullet 3?
Oh, well, I would say we could use the same language, but say that the operator of the street legal special purpose vehicle under this section shall restrict the operation to 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. except when engaged in snow removal or emergency road maintenance.
I love it.
Today, will you amend your motion then?
Yes, I amend my motion to the 3rd bullet point as Ashley read there.
I'll amend my second.
Okay.
We got a motion and a second there. Any further discussion on this before we call for a roll call vote? No? Okay. Glenda?
Hi. Councilwoman Shelton,
Yes.
Councilman Howard,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hale,
Yes.
Councilman Rao is absent. Councilman Brown,
Yes.
and Councilman Stokes.
Yes.
Pass for the first reading.
Okay, thank you very much. And I know when you're out of hand that this is a high ask, and I certainly appreciate it, and the citizens will as well. So thank you. And
They're on TV. They're on live TV.
okay, so Kevin, we can't take any more business, but you got to take care of your business.
I got to make a motion to adjourn.
You got a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you.
Put the
See y'all.
sunscreen on.
All right, everybody. Anybody opposed? Nope. Okay, we're done.
I told Kevin I was gonna go jump in the seat. I didn't. I chickened out. I'm afraid he'd get mad at me.
I think it's a good amendment. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, y'all.
Enjoy.
I am.